Hi.
Hi. It's always really fun when I have a friend on.
Yeah.
Because it just feels just casual in the best way.
It's like it starts a more formal version of saying hello and then it very quickly
Hello, welcome to my
hello,
podcast.
Nice to be in touch.
We should establish ourselves for the beautiful listenership.
Yeah.
So you are best friends with one of my best friends.
Yes.
And we've had the pleasure of
Crossing paths
a few times over the years.
We have.
I have to say, you'll either love this or hate this, but you've just been honestly like such a girl crush for me. Did you know that?
No,
Did I
that
ever
is
make
very
that obvious
flattering
to you?
No, I love that, and only because I feel like you're that person. For me, you've been kind of paving this path when I was kind of felt like I was very behind the curtains, and so it's really nice to hear that.
That's very sweet. I just always like, oh, Billy's a really cool friend, Ruby.
Aww.
And also just like I have your dad's bits and bobs.
Yeah.
I think Billy had gifted me his photo book. You just said he took the photo on the
Graceland album cover.
Vinyl I've got out there.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like you're always kind of
present
in the orbit.
Exactly.
So we're going to have, I haven't even told you what we're talking about really.
No,
I know we have.
I like that. My book?
We have Black River. I purposely didn't listen to any of your other press.
Yeah.
And I wanted to have a more personal conversation about kind of process and creativity, intersections with kind of motherhood, book writing as a self-development exercise.
That it is.
I'm reading this wonderful book, and everybody needs to. Such beautiful writing, which I kind of want to ask you about, of course, the descriptive kind of nature of it. Like I'm so all the way there in every sentence. Like it's very rich in, what is that like scene?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it comes from, I'm quite, from my background, I'm quite a visual person. I've worked in creative industries and creative direction and styling. My mum's a writer. My dad's a photographer. It's just been a visual world for me since day one. And it's funny, I was thinking this the other night because I was reading a book which I'm really enjoying, but I realized that as I was reading it, it's like I could see the characters talking, but around them was all black. And I didn't mind that, but it made me think that I think I've made a bit of an effort, or not an effort, but it just kind of happened writing my book, that I have kind of painted the full picture as I set the scene. And again, I don't think one is good and one is bad, but it kind of had never struck me before until I realized what I was picturing.
Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's it really is a world that you bring us into. I wonder how essential that is, though, to young adult fiction.
I mean, I hope it certainly helps, and I don't know if it's because I watch a lot of movies and a lot of shows, and obviously now we're in such a visual culture where we're seeing so many images flashing before our eyes so quickly every day. I find it really calming to be in a book and be really immersed in a world for kind of extended periods of time.
Yeah.
So again, it wasn't conscious, but I think you write what you want to read, and just painting that world for myself to go into, was really kind of came really naturally and was really a big part of the process.
Yeah. It feels like it's essential for overstimulated mothers.
100%.
Like I was really struggling to get into reading, and I hear this from so many of my friends or like mentees in the community. We're so charged around professional or self-development that every opportunity we have, it's like, oh, I better read that particular book on like fucking habit stacking or, you know, the business book or whatever it is. And you buy that with these really grand intentions. They kind of, those book purchases feel really good where you're like, look at me go. I'm
so productive.
Yeah. And then going to pick them up and reading them, it's just like, oh, it's so chewy.
Yeah.
You're just trying to stay with it because it's not actually what you need. And that was actually my little sister, who's a huge fantasy fan. And she was like, just start here. And I was like, no, I mean, fantasy? I was like, I don't get into that shit. Like, no.
Yeah.
And of course I did. And then I was like, what
have I been missing out on? I know.
Literally every night of my life for the last, I feel like since I had Betty.
Yeah.
This would have been such a salve for me, such a balm, like such a soothing. And so now I've got that relationship with reading where I can't wait to get to bed.
And go somewhere.
And and it feels good. It doesn't feel productive in all the ways that I've been kind of conditioned to.
And because there's that element of like, and it's the same because I listen to a lot of audiobooks and
so do you
I know
listen
we're on a podcast.
More than you read?
I do both. Yeah. So I always have a physical book, but I also always have an audiobook. And I too was, I still love a podcast but kind of I was listening to them a lot and cooking, cleaning, general household stuff as a mum and driving a lot. And I realized I was kind of doing the same thing where I always felt like I was having to be productive and always having to digest all of this new information that I had to somehow retain. And so when I made the switch to audiobooks, it was like this weight was lifted off my shoulders. And so, I'm kind of doing both and I'm having this escapism kind of at all times of day. But I don't know, there's this like productivity element, but then also I found a lot of people were recommending books like, oh, this book's about motherhood, or oh, this book is about Sydney set in this time when you grew up. I was like, that sounds great, but I don't want to keep digging into my life. I want to go somewhere else. I want to walk in someone else's shoes that are, and if there's magic and surreal kind of beauty, then even better. So
and then sex.
Like,
please, like also that.
How amazing to be able to experience that when, life in a beautiful way, but can be very repetitive. And it's nice to just know that there is always this crazy door you can open and go somewhere completely new. And so, again, like there was no way I was going to write my first book set in my world or in kind of anything close to my world. It was an opportunity to go somewhere new and fun and kind of exciting and
It's always a really fulfilling experience reading someone you know. I don't know if you have that too, like.
It's only recently as I've met
because I feel like
authors.
I know you more, but like it's not about you at all. But I just know, I know you more.
Little sprinkles. It's funny because I've only read books. Well, my mum has written 2 books, so I've read hers, and that was definitely just this trail of breadcrumbs of her.
Oh my gosh, yes.
But having met some authors now and reading their books, it really is an interesting insight. But I've never read someone I kind of know quite well or kind of knew well enough to get this new insight. So I can't imagine it must be, it must be kind of a funny, you're like, is that?
Ooh, it's, and just picturing you writing it and maybe as a writer as well, just like choice of words and where you're taking it. It's just like, oh, fascinating, beautiful brain.
Yeah.
That I've always, of course, received your work and known you have, but it's just another level of intimacy, I think, which is kind of like, fascinating.
It is an intimate experience because I kind of say that, like I'm always just so grateful that anyone takes the time.
It's the same with the pod. I'm like, you listen?
Wow.
Thank you.
That's amazing because it's such
thing.
a time investment and we are so time poor. And even, it's not like it was, as my debut and not being a known author, it's not like, oh, watch this movie by a new director, which will take an hour and a half of your life. It's like, hey, devote 30 hours of your life to this story I've written and
take a chance
on me. So it's a big ask. So I'm grateful for anyone reading it, but friends too, because it can be, I imagine, a bit scary because like, what if I don't like it? What do I say to them?
Yes.
You could politely say, I haven't had a chance to read it yet. But, it's a big ask.
Yeah. I always say with the pod, it's actually very rare that people in my life listen.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, I mean, I suppose like husband's different, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like with Tim, but like Tony listened to the first season in 2018 and then I think he caught a little bit of season 2 and he literally hasn't listened to an episode since.
Yeah.
And I'll publish on a Sunday and I'll just have to obviously quickly do my checks on a Sunday morning, make sure it's all live. And he's like, oh, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I have a whole thing
going on.
Yeah, like over 100
Maybe
episodes.
Maybe that's kind of nice.
And the body of work's
have
really
this,
progressed.
Yeah.
And it's not about that anymore.
Maybe he should check in like every 10 episodes. But maybe it's nice that you have this little.
But then it's like he brings Qantas magazine home. Do I read it? No.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I get on a plane, it's like, oh, that's sweet. I just like to like look at his name in the inside cover and I'll have a little flick through. But I don't know. It's just been interesting. Like you just rarely find that people that you're or that are really close to you are receiving you in that way, I suppose, because they're accessing you in different ways where, like my best friends, like we're voice messaging all day and they're kind of getting a form of a podcast, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly.
The voice messages these days.
Yeah.
It's become another job. I don't know what yours is like.
I have
Billy
very few people.
VM.
She
Her
does
and
now.
We like to go one for one.
I will do it with Billy. There are very few people though that I mean, to be honest, there are very few people I engage with that frequently just because I wish I could, but just life. Yeah. But it does become, you don't want that to become a full-time
thing,
job.
Another task to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So many questions for you. I want to speak to the listener and potentially selfishly me as well, like the aspiring authors or creatives who are somewhere inside them waiting for permission to do the thing. One of the most incredible things about you, and I remember we were at Billy's Hens, I think, and it was just a very subtle, like, I'm writing a book and being in this kind of publishing world, the first kind of question is like, oh, who's publishing you and do you have an agent? You hadn't had any of that yet.
No.
And it just struck me, this kind of commitment and devotion to just bringing something through, even if the thing of getting published never happened.
Yeah.
So like talk to us about that. And I suppose it's like, is this something that just like had to be done for you to continue living your life vibes?
Yeah. Oh, look, it's such a like, there's so many little kind of moments, I guess, that led to this happening. But basically the last thing I wrote before this was my Year 12 English major work. I wrote a short story and obviously, you know, in between then like emails. Well, that's a lie. At uni I did art history, so I was like doing more essay writing. But creatively, the last thing I wrote was my Year 12 major work. And at that time, like the idea of being an author was just so lofty and like just not a dream that felt like even
within
any reach. And I think I have, because
even with mum,
I think my mum has a very different, she has one of those brains, she retains everything that she hears, and I've always just seen her as much more intelligent than me. And I know how hard it is, and she wasn't an author of books at that time. She only published her first book a few years ago, but she was a screenwriter, an editor, and had written like 15 nonfiction books. Wow. So she's just very kind of very different to me in many ways. And I just thought, oh, like I'm nowhere in her sphere of kind of capability or intelligence. So it's just like, if it's hard for someone like her, it's just not even, you know, an option for someone like me. And so I kind of just left it on the table, even though it really was the thing I loved doing most. And I kind of just set it aside and thought, okay, well, I'm entering the real world and I'll start kind of pursuing things. And then I just found myself on this path, and then along that path I was struggling with endometriosis to the point where I was unable to work and I had to stop working by my mid-20s, and then, you know, got better, got worse, had kids, and suddenly it was like you're forced to slow down and go, okay, whoa, like the last like 12 years of it's like whiplash.
Yeah, New York.
New York, like all these just funny things, but also I just never felt like I was I was kind of falling into things and great things, not not bad things, but I wasn't kind of ever setting out going,
this is what I want to do.
This is what I want to do. I was like, oh, this is a smart idea, or this could be an interesting pivot, or maybe I'll try this. But it was never like, who am I and what is kind of something I would love to do. It was actually my husband who was like, what was the last thing you really loved to do? And I was like, well, I loved writing. And he was like, look, we have this window.
Yes.
We were about to send my second son to daycare, and he was kind of like, because we realized with my kind of endometriosis and being a mum of two kids, I couldn't go out and get a 9-to-5 job really. Like,
it's going to have to look different.
Yeah, it's going to have to look different. And, at the time my toddler had just started or was in daycare, and he was, getting sick all the time. And I was like, what do you do when they're sick? You call in sick. How many care days can you take? And, just the logistics of it seemed crazy. So we were looking at maybe starting a small business, and he said, well, maybe instead of a, financial investment in a small business, which I had quite a few ideas and was toying with different things. He was like, maybe we do a time investment and say, give yourself to the end of the year. I know he's very, I
love this man.
He really kind of wanted to make something happen for me and
help you bring something through.
Yeah. And and also, out of necessity, we knew I would eventually need to start, contributing in more ways than what I was doing. So we kind of said, okay, well, let's just give this a go, and you have kind of to the end of the year and just see if you kind of have anything to write. And literally 3 months later, I'd finished the first draft. It just kind of absolutely poured out of me.
Whoa.
And, after that fact, I definitely did quite a lot of editing, but it really just...
Like the kind of base structure of the story.
Yeah, the last scene was the first scene I thought of.
Wow.
And so I kind of really only had that. And then I just literally was like,
what's the journey
chapter
to here?
1, blank page, hadn't even mapped out character names, hadn't done anything, and I just started from the first scene.
Cognizing in the moment.
Yeah, and the characters just kind of came up as they came into scenes, and it just all... I did have to press pause, I think, about halfway through and go, okay, wait, I need to do a bit of an outline now and figure out how I'm getting to that last scene. But yeah, so you kind of go, wow, what if we hadn't decided to sit down and
do you think if he wasn't as clear with the permission slip, because that's kind of what that is. And I know many mothers or primary caregivers will be hearing this going like, that's huge to be seen, I suppose, witnessed in that way of you're a creative person who needs to come to a profession in a different way and let me help you think about that. Yeah. Sincerely.
His emotional intelligence to kind of help kind of get me there what really kind of astounds me still. And no, I don't know if I ever would have given myself permission.
Because that's what it is, isn't it, as a mum?
Yeah, it is, because it's a funny thing, because I think also I was feeling extremely creative after having my kids. I was thinking of all these business ideas. I was thinking of, I felt like I was gearing up to give something or to kind of let something out that was more than just, what I was doing at home, which, is 99% of my world still. But I just felt like this thing bubbling up inside me. And I think he could see that, and, he could also see what a struggle, like he had been with me at some of my lowest points with endometriosis and, the anxiety of having to call in sick and let people down. And especially when you're working for small businesses.
It's not like
calling into corporate and, HR will handle it or someone else will pick up the slack. Like you're letting down someone that, you know very well, and that
makes you feel about yourself.
And the anxiety, it's just sickening. So I was like, I cannot work for someone. Like I can't put them in that position. I can't put myself through that again. So there was kind of this funny little list of things we were tossing up, and we kept coming back to writing. And I think there had been a few times I'd like helped him write an email or like helped him done something, and he'd been like, you're a really good writer. And I'd been like, lol, you know, what? Just kind of dismissed it. But he was like, let's push this. Let's give this a go.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What was his relationship to the book on first read and now kind of seeing you through author journey?
Yeah, I was giving it to him every few chapters.
Oh, okay, so he didn't get polished.
No, he didn't, and which we'll never do again because, you know, you lose track of, then I'd be like, no, read it again. It's much better. Like, I'll read this chapter again. It's much better. And he was like, I don't remember where I am anymore. So I think at some point we pressed pause and I was like, just wait till the end. And I gave it to him to read and my mum to read. And I was like, okay, like almost treat this like Shark Tank, you know, like, is this something worth pursuing? Because I don't want to.
And I'm okay.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I will happily move on. You know, we are going to be paying someone else to look after my kid, you know, 2 days a week so I can do this. I don't want to mess around, you know. And they both again kind of said, keep going, like, let's like send it out to someone. And I think that was around the time when I saw you and spoke to about it, where I was like close to finishing. And
I thought it was so remarkable. Like, she's written an entire book. She's dedicated days out of her week sitting down and doing the hard thing without any real knowledge of whether this is
where it will go.
We've just been so conditioned to almost look at that success marker and then work back from there. And if I don't get this thing, it's not worth doing. And it reminds me so much of birthing the thing is the point.
100%.
And we've lost that. We've lost that the process of bringing it through is the only reason to do it. If you are privileged and lucky enough for something to basically commercialize off the back of the creativity, great. But it really shouldn't be the kind of reason.
No. And there is a point where you need to, again, like your time is an investment to a point, but doing the thing and finding, even if it takes years to do it, or in my case, having this kind of little window to do it. But then I also, you know, I think, again, since I finished school and the idea of becoming an author has really changed. There, it's self-publishing, just publishing online. Like, there are so many avenues. So I kind of started to think, as I started to enjoy what I was writing and enjoy reading it back, and then I think once I had finished it, I was like, that was a lot of work and time. I was like, I think I sent it out to an agent to see if they'd like it. And before I'd even heard back, I was like, even if this is never published or no one kind of gives me any more approval for this, I'm just going to self-publish it. And even if 3 people read it, and if one of them liked it, it will feel worthwhile. And especially when you're dealing with, I think, characters that are, you know, younger at this kind of coming of age time, I was like, if this can like resonate with someone going through something, and I think that's why I dedicated it. I said for you.
Because I was surprised not to see the kids.
It was like, you know, it just felt like this, it was for you then, now, or somewhere along the road. I think even though it's teenagers, I think it's just these big shifts in our life, no matter what point we're at. And if someone could read it who was going through one of those shifts and feel empowered by that, then that would be 100% worth it.
Yeah. And the sincerity of that, and I bring the same with this podcast in 2018, I suppose there was this sort of semi-role in it being a bit of a bridge out of one job and probably into another. That was the kind of thing. I was like, I'm going to have to earn money and I can't do it this way anymore, but maybe there'll be something else. And I really did think someone would call. I won all the awards. I did the whole thing. I'm like, surely they're going to be lining up. And like, they weren't. But that's the divine order of things, isn't it? That would have been such a distraction from what it actually is. And I was the same. Like, I didn't make this really for anyone else, but like going through the interest in audio, the intimacy of it as a medium, being a This American Life listener since, you know, I don't even know when I started listening, and just wanting to kind of be in the space for my own inner fulfillment. And the same thing, if 10 people start going, what's true self? Well, then cool. Like
Really
I've
cool.
impacted 10 people's lives that now have a think about what they are, not who they are, and what it is we're supposed to be doing here. But then it's just like nature takes its course.
Yeah.
You just have to act on the cognition without any attachment to the outcome, which is such a privileged thing to say.
Yeah.
Because, we all still need funding.
Of course.
I always talk about, and I know you'll resonate with this, the distinct privilege of being partnered to somebody who is a stable earner, or at least can be, because like a lot of people don't have that circumstance.
Yeah.
And I mentor a lot of people where it's juggling in what I call a funding role alongside this more, I don't know what we would call this, just the passion-based stuff where something trying to come through me.
Yeah.
Can I give it the time and the attention?
Yeah.
But we have to acknowledge that, don't we? That
100%. Oh, 100%. I could not have done this not in the partnership, or it would not have happened in this way. But, you know, it's also been a struggle. Like we've had to struggle because of taking this time.
Yeah.
And, but I also think having a partner who works in a different world or a more corporate world or something that's just, I know for him, he finds it so fulfilling to see me kind of do this very different thing, and he finds it so exciting. And, you know, so even if it's, you know, it's been tough, and it's meant him having to kind of maybe give up on ideas of his own, or not give up, but just not explore things right now, and stick to a more stable path.
Yeah.
It's been so rewarding and exciting for him. So I never feel too guilty, because I know he's getting such a thrill out of it. But yeah, it is. But I think, you know, having come from a position where I literally was unable to work, and at that point I wasn't with him, and I actually I was living in an apartment in Sydney, and I couldn't pay rent anymore. And so my mum, who was renting too, she was, you know, wasn't a homeowner. I couldn't move back into
the parents'
home. We moved out of Sydney together, and she rented a bigger place that she could afford to house me in.
Yeah.
While I kind of started this
There's all these
shift.
hidden kind of costs and sacrifices.
Yeah,
but also I'm just saying, like, can we call it, is endo a disease?
I think they consider it a disease now. I think when I first was diagnosed and had the surgery, it was like elective surgery, and it was but I think now it's definitely considered a chronic illness, and I think a disease too.
Yeah, but these hidden sort of sacrifices and all the ways that it starts to impact you living this kind of full and express life.
Yeah.
And only now, right, are we starting to have these conversations more out in the open of like what that actually has practically meant for you in your life in your mid-20s.
Yeah.
Essentially going, wow, I'm going to have to figure this out on my own in terms of my professional expression and how I fund myself. Like
exactly. But I also think, and it's made me like kind of the one thing that keeps replaying in my head over and over again is the struggle is the point.
Yeah.
Because this would never have happened if I hadn't gone through that, and if I wasn't still going through that. And so therefore, once you get to the acknowledgements, you see my last acknowledgement is actually my endometriosis.
Oh, beautiful.
Because I wouldn't wish it away, even though some days, of course, it's like the bane of my existence. But kind of bigger picture-wise, it has completely shaped who I am, and it has forced me to be more thoughtful and learn so much more about myself, and be so much more kind of slow down, be introspective, and kind of, just get me off that cog
that bloody cog.
Of the hamster wheel.
Cog.
Yeah, exactly. And just
demonstrate
kind of,
your value in the world cog.
Yeah, and jump off and go, oh, hi, I'm me. Let's get to know each other better and find a way. And so I'm so grateful to have gone through it all, really.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Like, I was talking about this the other day inside my membership with grief.
Yes.
So losing my mum and giving birth within essentially like 13 or 14 months, it doesn't feel random for me to say, I mean, you're affirming it for me now, but what I shared was like, there is an immense amount of gratitude for having experienced to be at those two thresholds within such a short space of time.
Yeah.
Nothing matters, hurts. There's just a perspective that you get.
Absolutely.
That even, say, in business or marriage or friendship, when things are hard, I'm like, it's still all right.
Yeah.
In comparison. So there is this, like, I think about my mum now and I think about the deliberateness of her allowing me to be in the room on the day and just how that is not some coincidence.
Yeah.
Like, having been in that experience now, knowing that she chose that for us and what she gave me in that moment, even in just the transition phase of from life to death, having just experience from the belly to
so profound.
Like stretched into an entire new dimension of living and relating and so there is gratitude in that weird dark little pit of, you know.
That's the thing. I think unless you can see
what
else do you have? Well, yeah.
That's it.
But really, and, you know, isn't that kind of then those doors of perception are opened and you're like, oh, that's what life's about.
Yes.
It's the kind of this constant evolution and change and learning and weathering it all.
Enduring.
Yeah, enduring.
But that
and
also
it's so
life
beautiful.
is supposed to be like lived and enjoyed. I wrote about this morning of this contemplation I've had around friction because in the spiritual expression, friction is an indicator of misalignment. And so all the gurus and stuff and all the ancient beautiful wisdom will tell us that the whole where there is friction, there's no flow and you should really be chasing or moving in the direction of where there's the ease and flow. But again, because of these more kind of conditioned realities we're living in, when you are experiencing that sequence of flow, you tend to feel like a bit of a fraud in the outcome because you're like, well, I didn't fight for this. I didn't struggle my way through and earn it. And you don't feel that same sense of, it's a different satisfaction.
Yeah.
But like.
Or also, I don't know if it's just me or just a human thing to kind of go, this is too good to be true.
So what's going to go wrong?
Easy.
The catastrophizing?
The catastrophizing.
I cannot with my catastrophizing. I might just give it a rest,
I know,
okay?
I know, just
this
enjoy it.
This makes sense that things would work out for you. You're a good person.
But then I think if when you've had, I think it is that kind of, that balance, right? Even if it's easy at times and shockingly hard at times, being aware that there are always both polarities ahead of you.
And there's more coming.
And it's more coming and you just,
and
it just is what it is. Yeah. And accepting in those harder times that like, wow. I mean, I guess it's kind of like labor or something when you're like, oh, okay, this is like the most intense thing I've ever experienced, but it will pass.
Yeah. And there'll be this beautiful.
You know, and it will just ebb and flow and.
Yes. It's just been interesting to inspect all the ways that we're told to avoid friction when actually part of what we're getting into here is it's kind of this essential building block to anything being meaningful really. And so then I kind of stare at these spiritual teachings and like, who am I to even do that? But I think this should be our relationship with it is we should be trying to interrogate it a bit more, to live into it a bit more.
Well, I think that's a big thing too in like modern or like gentle parenting or conscious parenting now. It's kind of like rather than being like, it's okay, you'll be okay or don't cry, it's kind of like, yeah, it hurts or that really sucks and let them kind of sit with it. And, you know, it is.
Poor Betty.
I know.
She have fun with the kids.
You are sad. You are feeling frustrated.
I understand.
It's
safe to feel sad. Or I'll be like, baby, let's have a talk. She's like, I know, Mom. And then she'll like recite off my little lines.
I know, that's what my 5-year-old does
now I don't think it's working. Now I feel like you just think
where do we go from here when you know what's coming?
When you know all my material.
But maybe that's a good thing because I actually have heard my son where like he rolls his eyes at me saying that, my 5-year-old, but then I hear him saying it to my 3-4-year-old.
So
and I'm like, oh, okay, it's
working.
It's
doing its
He's
job.
rolling his eyes at me, but he is putting it into practice outside of it. But I do, you know, it is, and it's, I mean, that's what parenting does, right? It teaches you all these things too, or at least brings them into the light of what you need. And you do just sometimes it's going to feel really rough.
Yes. In what ways have the kids been evolutionary for you? Like,
in every way. I mean, as we were talking about before we picked up the mics, but, you know, even just the chemical makeover of your body. Like for me, my hormonal makeup was very much one way, and then being pregnant and having kids, it totally changed that. And so that just from a kind of molecular chemical level has been such a shift. But I think too, just that, like the bravery, and also just knowing there is no one else in charge. Like you are the boss. So whatever happens, no one else is there to, like, you and your partner or you in a situation, like it's on you. And so you just have to have this strength that you have no choice. There's no one else around. And I think that in itself is so profound, and it makes us really brave, and it also can be extremely overwhelming. And you just sometimes wish, pushing my kids around in a pram, you're like, oh, I wish someone was pushing me around in a pram. Seriously. And cradling me.
Make me a snack. I'm so hungry.
I'm so hungry. I'm sick of eating your toast scraps. Yeah. But, it makes when you come into other situations, or be it professional or just life. Like I remember me and my husband always laugh about this, like being anxious to call and order pizza, like the pressure of being, oh, hi, like what do you order? Like and now you just like pick up the phone and you're just like, whatever, making these, and we've said when our sons are like, 12 or whatever, like they have to call and order the pizza. Of a rite of passage. Yeah, that will be like a big, like, because I think now, so many young people are like scared to have phone calls. Like they'll text, they'll email, but picking up the phone and just getting stuff done, or having not even a confrontation, but just this is what I need, this is what's happening, is like apparently this big, there's a big aversion to it. And those little things of and again, being a parent, I think you just absolutely don't care about any of that stuff.
Oh my God.
But I do wonder where those kind of younger generations will, how shocking that will be for them when they have to kind of have these confrontational, which in hindsight are not so confrontational, but just these kind of face-to-face or voice-to-voice real-life conversations, which they just haven't been exposed to.
Yes, it's like the how do we help them like develop a tolerance for discomfort? Yeah, that's it, isn't it? Because that's what.
Just maybe a little bit awkward.
This was again what I was talking about with the friction piece, and I wrote about this morning, that even with AI, it's going to continue removing so much friction from our lives. Yes. And this is if we choose to engage with it. I've been trying to press on this, like, we have free will. Yeah. Don't forget that you don't have to, and there's going to be the people that say you're going to get left behind, but do you want to go where it's going anyway? So but again, it's this technology that's removing discomfort. It's removing friction. Mm-hmm. And so I've been reading about deliberate friction and all the ways that we and younger generations are going to create friction for themselves.
That's so interesting.
Like this deliberateness of I have to do something that requires me to not know, or requires my patience, or that I might just choose to learn something because I can.
Yeah.
Because we've come up in a time where we have to learn stuff to be successful in the world. But now that kind of tide is turning of what success is even going to look like, and the role of work.
Yeah.
I think so much about what's Betty going to be doing? No. What's her profession going to be? And so much of what I'm reading is about how do we just prepare them with these kind of essential soft skills that aren't, of course, ever focused on anywhere.
Yeah.
The pieces around free will, critical thinking, developing judgment and character judgment as well, because it's going to be people working with AI, but there still will be people to interact with that have informed the shape of the intelligence as well. So, but when I let my mind go forward, I'm like, maybe the best thing I can do is to help you express yourself creatively. And I am, not wanting to kind of get into that more polarizing conversation, but I am kind of considering the role of school.
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of seriously thinking about like, okay, so hold on. What is she being readied for here? We need like an entrepreneur school or...
I keep kind of fixating, and I don't know if it's just because I kind of have boys and it's an easy stereotype to fall into, but just, or even just myself, I wish I'd had a practical hands-on skill set that like, as in instead of like, you go to uni and you study something and then you work in retail or a bar on the side. It's like, wouldn't it be cool if I had gotten this amazing skill and become like, I don't know, a carpenter and then on the side gone to uni or studied some courses that maybe were exploring more of a passion but had this kind of element of working with my hands or and I think maybe it's just these tangible things that I don't think can be that I'm able to picture in the future when everything else seems so murky. So I'm like, God, wouldn't it be great if the boys just like started a building business and they were builders, brothers, stick together. Yeah. They can renovate my house one day.
Exactly. Like Tony and I, we moved recently and we used the Removalist Brothers.
Yeah.
And I was like, such a great brand, you know, because it makes you think about the brothers that you can trust that will come and get the job done. Come and get
the stuff. I know. And I think I can't like the future is just so murky for me to picture that anything like that I latch onto. And I keep telling the boys, look at the woodwork on this, you know. Someone built
interested in woodworking?
Someone built that shelf. Like that's pretty cool. They'll of course like rebel and become, you know,
exactly
a doctor or something crazy.
Yeah. I've been talking about this too with Tony. We work so hard to secure this elusive, what is it? Like what is security for Betty?
Yeah.
What's the bet she just goes and blows the whole thing up? You know what I mean? Like she's like, I'm selling the house. I'm cashing in all the shares and I'm going to be, I'm moving overseas and I'm never work.
I know.
So it really is all about us and we really are doing it for ourselves, actually not for them at the end of the day.
Yeah. They're going to be who they want to be. Yeah.
Yeah. Back to the book. Yes. Otherwise we're going to go off on 1,000 different tangents. I want to talk about discipline versus devotion, like as different kind of expressions in the writing process, because I think for anyone who's aspiring to write a book, I know I've got at least 3 in me, and they'll come in the chapter they're kind of due. You read about it and you get all this advice about the discipline and, you know, getting your process down and waking up and writing first thing. And what I keep wondering is, hold on, shouldn't this be softer? Shouldn't this be actually a devotion to what's kind of wanting to come through, and how do you create the conditions for that to be what's trying to come through, not what, okay, I've got to write this chapter or this many words today by this time. But like just talk to us about what was your experience like?
I think because I knew I had this window, the kind of framework that I went into it as was more like I have this opportunity and I'm being gifted this opportunity to like sit here without distraction, and so it didn't ever feel like work. It always felt like kind of free play. It was like free play time.
And
freedom. Exactly. Yeah. So it kind of, even though, yes, like I had to carve out the time and say, today I'm going to sit at the computer, and, you know, but as soon as you're kind of sitting down in front of the screen with your coffee or your tea, I would get this kind of feeling of like, oh my God, like how exciting.
I get to enter
this world. And so, yes, there was discipline in carving the time and creating that, but as soon as I was there and my kind of fingers were on the keyboard, it instantly felt like the time for play and the time for passion and the time for for me. Yeah. And so, and I've said that, like I recently went on I had a deadline and I was just quite behind and I really needed to get work done and I needed to focus and not be kind of stopping to do a load of laundry or stopping to cook, like stopping at 3 to pick up the kids and then cook dinner. I needed to like be able to work from like 7 till 6, and rather than looking at that as like this kind of productivity and this pressure. It kind of felt like a work trip, but a life break.
Yeah.
And so
the mums know.
Yeah, it was so nice. Like
what do you mean?
And again,
alone?
at night I like scrolled
Of
pictures
course.
of them constantly, and like I think I cried like
Let me
4
FaceTime
times
again.
because I miss them. But I also, it was so nice waking up and just opening the computer and being able to start and no one asking me for anything.
It's kind of like the romantic version of writing a book that we all kind of hold in our minds. It's that version versus, I'm sure, the reality.
The reality. And again, I've done that twice now, and for like 4 days each time, and that's the longest time I've been away from my kids each time. And but it's kind of, I think, essential because I think I did like probably 3 weeks worth of work in 4 days.
Crazy.
So I actually I'll spend more time with them by not having to take all these weekends to write or, whatever. By carving out that smaller amount of time. So, but yeah, to answer your question, I think it just it's just how you look at it, and if it's the right time, and that's the thing. It was the right time for me. I think you couldn't force it. I couldn't force myself to do it. And
so
writing
like
book 2 has
been
a different experience to book 1, in which I'm
spoiler alert. Book 2.
Book 2. It's a duology.
Was that in the initial deal? Okay.
Yes, it was. It was a 2-book deal, and my editor was very much like, "Do you want to do more? Is this a trilogy? Is this a bigger series?" And she gave me the choice to kind of decide what I wanted it to be, and it felt actually kind of perfect for this story. But yeah, writing book 2 was totally different because rather than this kind of magical
existing in the potential,
it was suddenly like, you have a contract.
Yeah.
Reviews were starting to come out.
I have a question about this.
This book, other people's expectations, what characters they liked most, what they didn't like, and you're suddenly so much more in your head and influenced. And it's been quite, again, a learning experience and an exercise in
Have you finished
letting go.
book 2?
I've written the first draft. I'm just doing the edits of the second draft, but we'll be done by the end of the year because I'm having a baby in March.
Yeah.
It doesn't come out till September next year, but
it's got to be finished.
It's got to be finished. So you're kind of like crazy. You're like, I'm 18 weeks pregnant now and it will 100% be finished by, say, 32 weeks. Like how is that even possible? It feels
growing two
so
lives
far
at once.
away.
It's so crazy.
But I don't know. I actually find deadlines I quite like. Love deadlines. I quite like it. I quite like being like, nope, it's just got to happen. And you know that on the other side, and again, not to liken everything to giving birth, but that mental, like, no matter how hard this is, by this time tomorrow or by this time next week, it will be behind you.
Yeah.
And that's so exciting. Like, and not because I don't enjoy it, but just because it feels like so much work. But having done it the first time, like, I know I can do it. I've just got to kind of keep doing it. Yeah. And also knowing, I think the process too, knowing, like, I didn't have to hand in a perfect thing that I was completely happy with. I knew there were things I would change, but I was more aware of the editing process and
and what actually gets done in
that and how productive. And I actually think some of my, even though the framework was there, and there is actually, when I look back, a lot in this published version that was there in the very first draft, most of the story and even a lot of the actual writing, but a lot of my favourite parts I did in editing, and a lot of things I added literally a week before the last kind of version was due. I kind of just suddenly woke up in the middle of the night and had a thought
has to happen.
And slipped it in there. Yeah. So kind of just aware that that will happen, and those creative juices they are in me, and trusting that. But then you're like, what if they're not? What if they've gone to sleep?
Yeah. How are you ingesting or not reviews, feedbacks, like this sort of thing as you think about?
It's hard. I've always been a pretty confident person, and I've been pretty good at not caring too much about what other people think. Come this, I am like so needy. I'm like clinging to feedback.
Yeah.
I think because it means so much, and also because it's so vulnerable. Like you're just like, you're really opening yourself to literally people rating you out of 5 stars and the difference between 4 and 5 stars and it, you know,
and comparing you to other books and other writers. And
and I also am aware that I'm now having experienced how much I love doing it. I'm paving a future for myself and the stakes just feel so high. And so it's incredibly nerve-wracking. And of course, for every, 20 incredibly positive reviews, you read one, even in an incredibly positive review that's 5 stars, there's one little critique.
Yeah.
My brain just fixate or just remembers that. It's forgotten everything else it's read and it's remembering.
This is the human condition. Why are we like this?
Why are we like this? It's just.
I literally have not read my podcast reviews since early 2019.
Good for you.
Seriously, I got one that was like just basically that I sound like a serial killer and that my voice is too monotone and it's too boring and who sort of told this chick that she should. And it's so crazy, isn't it? Because like the most feedback I get is that my voice is the most compelling thing about the podcast.
Yes, but you remember that.
Stability my voice brings. And but so then I went through this whole stage of, and you can actually hear it in the podcast in
Being
season 2 and 3
where
I started to go up and I got very sing-songy.
Oh, isn't it funny
and
how
like,
we
that's
just
actually I have to expend so much energy having to be someone else. Yes.
The logical part of your brain's like, this means
nonsense.
This is nonsense. And also and I think, and I'm sure people have told you this too, like look up your favorite book or your favorite podcast.
No one said that. That's a really good idea.
Yeah. And if you look up and then click to the 1-star reviews and there are hundreds of them.
I'm going to do that.
And you're just like, oh, okay. It's going to happen. I think I showed my publisher my first bad review and her response was, congratulations. It's a rite of passage.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
This is what it's all about.
Yeah, because it's going to happen. And people are entitled to their opinions, but you just got to really work hard not to overthink it and take them on
or
and
just
trust.
Not look like me.
Yeah, or just not look. And
just
I think
they don't
that's
exist.
where I'm at now. I'm not actually reading. I'm not reading them, but I am. It means a lot when people reach out and give positive
100%.
feedback. It means
and that's
so
the thing
much.
is, it's always the anonymous ones in the review sections.
Yeah.
It's not the people who are DMing me with an essay long thing that's like, this episode changed my life.
Exactly.
And those we want and we love and we read those and bookmark those. And
and that's the thing. And if you go back to our original intention, which is for those few people to get something from it, it's like that was the whole point. So you've done it.
Achieved.
You've achieved. So the people who didn't, but it's hard to, and and the book world is highly, not, I wouldn't say competitive between writers, but just the whole packaging of it.
Well, I was going to say,
so
talk to us about, I suppose, your relationship with being an author and books now that you know the business of books. Because again, in these beginning stages, we're sort of existing in the potential of the idea of being an author. Then we start to progress to writing. We're becoming an author. Now we are a published author and we know what's sitting behind it. Has it sort of changed the way you think about authorship?
I kind of just now I'm like, you did it. I would never I just feel so much I have no right to criticize someone else's work because they achieved something it took to get there. And I know how hard and how every little word was gone over, so many times. And again, even if something isn't for me, it's such an achievement. And I'm just so in awe of anyone that does it because I now know, what it takes and how hard it is. And everyone has a different process and, how they got there is always very different. But so I'm very much now just very excited and happy for other authors. It's just so cool.
We did it.
Yeah.
We did the thing.
But I also think it's funny because entering the book, I wasn't on Book Talk or following book influencers before I wrote this
because
book.
there's a whole other strategy behind that, right?
Like, it's wild. But it's so cool. It's like this huge online international book club.
Its distribution is kind of what it is.
Yeah. And but now, of course, it's exposing me to all these books I wouldn't have read. Like I was kind of still, there were a few books I'd read that I'd picked up in a bookstore, but I was really reading a lot of hand-me-down books from my parents, like kind of Scandi noir crime from my dad and like historical fiction from my mum. I wasn't like actively seeking like what books do I want to read. And I think now having written this book, and now I'm following people that maybe are talking about this book or interested in this kind of book, I'm taking all their recommendations and it's opened my eyes to all these new books. So is that an opening
process for you? Because when you're starting to receive within the genre you're creating into, I personally find this really hard. Like I can't listen to other podcasts in this area because then I do naturally the human condition of being drawn into some level of like comparison. So do you find you're kind of surrounding yourself with this sort of?
I kind of am, and I don't know if it's for good, better. I actually think I'm glad it's happened now, not before, because I know I would have made different choices, that I'm glad I stuck to what I did. But there are certain kind of formulas that I would have, I think, instantly gone, well, I have to do this because this is what's done. And so I'm glad I went in a little bit blind and didn't kind of have the pressure of any of that. And I think it's paved the way to give me the confidence to kind of stick to forgetting all of that stuff. And sure, I might incorporate those at some point, but I don't feel like I need to adhere to this kind of formula. And I think that has, though, been, for some readers maybe disappointing, like things like tropes and things are so heavily marketed now that if a trope is marketed and a reader doesn't quite get as much of that trope as they wanted, it's like devastating for them. And I get that. They were sold this trope. And so but I also think that most readers are also aware that every book's going to be different, and you've just kind of, and I hope, I mean, a lot of the feedback has been that they've been really pleasantly surprised with the kind of differences in it that are outside those
freshness, probably.
Freshness, yeah. And again, I don't think I would have had that if I was already really immersed in kind of current fantasy and romance and YA, like I have become as a reader since entering all this. And it's really, a lot of it's my publisher who has recommended so many books to me, and I've loved so many of them because she's kind of read this and gone, oh, you wrote this, you'll like this, versus like you should read this and then you'll write something like this. Yeah. So,
I'd love to talk about, as much as you're sort of willing to, sort of just deal structure and again, for the aspiring author, I know there's just so many different ways that this can go.
Yeah.
For you, what is the, as much as you're willing to share the sort of the structure of it all, because I feel like people don't necessarily understand these kind of earn out clauses and advances, and
I'm still struggling to, and it's so complicated, and even my agents who obviously are so across it's so complicated. But basically what happened with me is I got an agent, and then
So you took your
took my
more or less finished manuscript to an agent?
Manuscript and a pitch deck that I'd made.
Which would have been amazing. I'd love to see that pitch deck.
Yeah. And, a bit of a summary, mood boards, like a bit of a one-liner about, just kind of, I think all my creative background was like, I have to show how I see this playing out. And, sent that to an agent, and luckily the agent I sent it to signed me. And then they were like, we're going to take it out to market and we're going to take it broad, and, hopefully, we get a bidding war or this and that. I got rejected by everyone.
Wow.
Except one publisher who was like, I see something in this, but I'd love to have a talk to Ruby. And because, it's one thing writing a manuscript, but it's another thing being able to, it's proof of concept. Like, can you edit? Can you take feedback? Can you, because I imagine there's so many authors that you'd just be so married to something, you go, absolutely no way.
No, this is how it needs to read.
Yeah, whereas I think I was, I mean, it's a mutual thing, right? So I had this conversation with my now publisher, Anthea, and instantly I kind of felt this trust with her of like, the things she loved about the book were the things I loved.
Somewhere.
And yeah, exactly. And really all she wanted to do was draw out things that I'd maybe kind of held back on, or, maybe, you need outside feedback with a book. There's just no way you can write just so way too close to it. And so she was like, would you be interested in she gave me like basically 3 points and was like, I'd love to see a bit more of Dusty, the main character. Like, it's funny, she'd actually was who I'd held back on the most.
Interesting.
I had the story and everything there, but I was kind of keeping her locked away. And I don't know if that's because a lot of her is kind of me, and therefore I was just like, I didn't fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
Anyway, and another one was just kind of really, really amping up that, like, the little romantic element and just really kind of bringing that out because she really loved the characters. And so I basically did the first 3 chapters. I just kind of did a little edit on them with those notes.
Pre-deal.
This is pre-deal.
Yep.
And she was like, and she was like, no pressure. You don't have to do this, but just, would you be keen? And I was like, yeah, I would actually. Now you say it, I can't believe that's not on the page, because that was my intention. I want this to be a romance and I want this to be about Dusty. So I can't believe they're kind of not as strong on the page. And so I did that. And then within a week,
off to the races.
Yeah, she signed a 2-book deal with me. But again, I think it was just that, can she, yes, I love what I've read, but can she deliver? Again, in that time though, I was
what's an author like to work with? I suppose the publisher's really
exactly.
going, I've got to be intimate with you in a way.
And I understand that. It's, it's a two-way street.
Relationship.
And I have to trust her feedback and she has to trust that I'm going to be able to kind of deliver also on time, all these things. Like, am I, I've got a busy life, I've got 2 kids, like, is this feasible? And of course, based on life circumstances, there's always flexibility and any publisher will kind of understand that. But, it's kind of proof of concept. And so in that time though, I had again been like, okay, even if she doesn't sign,
we've gotten this far.
I've gotten this far. Meanwhile, read about all these amazing authors being self-published, including authors that my publisher has published now who started self-publishing and absolutely
that's
went
still a pathway
off.
To the traditional.
It's a huge pathway to traditional, and in fact so many, especially romance and fantasy authors, but even crime too. There's another, I just think it's such an amazing story. And it's such like a masculine energy compared to the path that I've come at writing. But there's this author, Matt Rogers, who we share the same publisher, but he never got a job out of school. He went, I want to be a writer and I'm going to start writing and I'm going to self-publish. And he just backed himself.
Wow.
And I think he's like 28 now, but between 18 and 28, he sold over 1 million copies self-publishing. He wrote like 40 books, and then his first traditionally published book came out just a little bit before mine. But it was just a totally different way that
There's
we
so
actually
many
came to that
paths.
same point of having a traditionally published book in that same moment.
And this makes me think about how irrelevant the money factor is, because so much of this is actually an emotional thing, in that we still hold traditional publisher path as this kind of pinnacle, I feel.
Exactly, especially
because I'm sure he made quite good coin in.
Exactly.
It's not about the money, it's about being recognised maybe. There's a part of us that still wants to be seen.
And just get your work out there. Like, he obviously had just this insane output and creative flow that he was just like, I'm just going to keep writing. And traditional publishing would have slowed him down because it is a long process. I think it was 2 years ago that I got the book
crazy,
deal.
isn't it?
And then, I can't even... Yeah, I guess it was. And then, maybe 8 months of editing and stuff, and then you've locked it off, and then it's there's, all the press and getting it out to kind of advanced readers. And it's just a really slow process. And in fact, the book is getting published in the US, but it doesn't come out till June 1st.
That's crazy.
So that is, next year. That's
wow.
months
I
and
kind of
months and
love
months
the
away.
leisurely nature of this in a world where
it's great. But back to your question about the kind of more financial structure. So what happened with me is I got a 2-book deal, and it was for global rights. So my publisher has the global rights to the book, which means they gave me an advance, but then they have the rights to, which I would normally have to earn out on sales before I start getting royalties for it. So once it's out. But because they sold it internationally into quite a few territories, that earns out my advance. So before it was published, my advance was earned out then some. So I will instantly start getting royalties plus, which it's a much slower process than you think, plus get those advances from the foreign territories, but I don't get that till I get my first royalty payment from the majority rights holder, which is my publisher.
Which would be unlocked through number of sales?
Yeah, which is unlocked. Yeah, no, it's basically, I think all publishers, it's just a biannual.
Oh, got it.
It's biannual.
Like a rhythm of the business.
Yeah,
thing.
Once it's after publishing, you get like the next, so mine was, I think it's like every financial, it's like June and December.
Yeah.
And so my book came out, September 26th or something. So whatever the sales are from September 26th to December 30th, plus those international, deals, international advances. So then,
Whoa, it's a
so
whole
I probably
world.
won't see that until like February next year.
The life of a writer.
Yeah. But then
the bank account of a writer.
I know, right? And you go, gosh, like I think it's the average income of an Australian author is something like $5,000 a year.
And this is the always like trying to help aspiring creatives, authors, but founders too, like in my line of work. We really do have to manage our expectations up front, and it really does need to be about a passion for the craft.
Yes.
And getting the work out into the world, meeting a need, serving its purpose for you and the collective.
Yeah.
And we want to be seeing where possible the financial outcome as this beautiful kind of gift that we get on top.
Yes.
And it's really, really, really normal to have a funding role. I always just like to say this, like
absolutely.
so many of the creatives we respect and admire are still funded through other work. What we're receiving isn't always how they're making rent.
And it's often very much smoke and mirrors, where it looks like this kind of all in
veneer of like
exactly. And that's, up until mid last year, I was doing actually part-time online work for my cousin in America, who I had been working for when we lived in New York, doing kind of art direction for her. I was still doing that like a day a week, I think. And then obviously I think I had my kids 3 days a week.
Yeah.
And then was writing the book kind of around all of that or in my own time.
A little portfolio of activities,
yeah,
isn't
exactly.
it?
You've got, so I know very few authors who, and a lot of, and this is something, again, another reason I don't think I dipped my toes into this, which I still see a lot of authors are also academics. They're also teaching writing at either high school, university, some kind of level of, which is something I just never felt like I was in a position to do. And so, but I do see that that's still, a lot of authors are doing that. But a lot are also not. They're Pilates instructors, they're temp teachers, they're, working at a cafe.
All in the realm of normal to be expected.
Exactly.
Yeah. What's your relationship with sales?
In terms of like pushing for sales, or in terms
actually that's
of,
interesting too, because actually one thing I did want to sort of say to you is just what a beautiful job I think you've done of like marketing, but sort of helping us see you and meet you as the author and bringing us into this bigger kind of world that you're building on behalf of the the books and as someone who's been doing that behind the scenes for other people in a way.
Yeah, and it's been
to kind
so
of claim
much
that
harder.
for yourself.
Yeah,
Yes.
like it was so easy doing that for other
This is
people.
the kind of creation and business of spiritual curriculum because it kind of moves us into a level of self-development.
Yes, and it's very, I find I'm very uncomfortable with self-promotion, but I also am very grateful for what's happened and wanting to celebrate. And I think that's how I'm looking at it more, celebrating what I've achieved versus pushing.
Buy my book, buy my book.
Exactly.
And this is how it's definitely coming across is like, let me bring you into the
process or the
process and the world and the kind of root system of like.
And I think too, like as someone who is a very visual, my Pinterest is insanity.
Yes.
And my mood boards for each character and everything. But, it's like I have this treasure trove. I really want to share it. And I probably feel like I haven't done it enough because it's just
I feel like we'll always
time.
feel that, honestly. The amount of material we have kind of sitting on these more private platforms but also on our phones, I'm always staring at mine like, oh, I've got to do something with all of this. And like, who can help me like take all of this and do something great with it? Because like I've got some ideas, but then I feel like on execution, I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah, I know. And it never feels
wasn't quite where I kind of saw it in my mind.
And look, I think Instagram, that was my comfort zone for sharing that stuff. And again, not necessarily myself, but just other mood images and things. So that part I was like, great.
I loved when Ophelia came out for you. I was like, the song, I was like, great soundtrack.
Thank you, Taylor. But yeah, so that was really, that part was easy. But yeah, the sharing me and my stuff, and I don't share much of my personal life, a little bit, because I want people to be aware that I am, a big part of my life is being a mum, but I'm not kind of incorporating that much on my public social media. But it's been the thing is I'm aware that as much support as I have from my publisher, which is a lot and it's been amazing, getting people to pick up your book is such a big ask, as we said. So anything that can help kind of engage with someone visually, they might just stumble across some images or something
and that might evoke something in them, and then that piques the interest.
Because
to buy
I am
the book.
now at a point where, again, my intention was for just one or two people to enjoy it, but it would be really great if I could get it into more hands. It's out there now. I've done the work. It's packaged so beautifully.
Oh my God, whose idea was the...
My publisher had this artist. This is called Sprayed Edges, and I've never owned a book with sprayed edges.
I'd never seen a book with sprayed edges.
I've learned since that it's a big thing in romance and
like
fantasy.
The detail of the even pond on the
bottom. It's so beautiful, and
so
it's
I had no idea.
The cover artist did such an amazing job, and then the designer at Simon & Schuster, Hannah Jansen, she did such an amazing job at kind of bringing that artwork around the book. So I just feel like it's I have every opportunity for the book to kind of resonate with people, even just if they saw that.
Such a visual experience.
Yeah.
So you kind of want to open it up and know more about it.
It's the opportunity is there, like anything I can do to help promote that. But also, it's coming out very staggered in other territories. So I'm also like, do I hold back and wait till it comes out in the UK on January 1st or the US in June? It's just,
I know the sort of depths we start to think about. Like, I was thinking about this the other day with I shouldn't say a little launch, but a launch I did for a new offering within the brand. And I've sat on it for a really long time because you're like waiting for this kind of perfect moment to like send a fucking Instagram post live. And it's just like,
talk about overthinking.
Talk about overthinking, but also like manage expectations. Like it's always a bit of an anticlimax, and like
1,000%.
I always say this too with like launches. We're really just letting people know that we're on sale. It's marketing that sells things, and marketing is often very long tail. It doesn't always get to work straight away. And so if we're looking at likes and stuff like that as a kind of metric for has this piece of content been necessary or required, or did it do its job? It's like, well, it will.
It will. But that's where I find Instagram really, because I think I've always looked at it as like a landing page, almost like a website.
Yes.
So even if it doesn't get a lot of likes or a lot of engagement, it's there.
It's a mood.
And if someone eventually finds you, it's part of this kind of bigger picture you've painted, whereas like something like TikTok I find just like, which is a huge place for book community and it's a huge place for this kind of book community. So I was like, I have to kind of be a part of this, and I find it so unapproachable. And I was trying to kind of carry over my, you know, aesthetic of like slower, but it just was not translating on TikTok. And I just happened to post last week a video of me reacting to an audio book, and it's like a 2-minute clip, and every other one of my videos I think has like 200 views and like 5 likes, and this video has got like 30,000 views and thousands of likes.
It's always the ones where you didn't put any effort in. Don't think about it. You just think this platform's weird. I'm just going to chuck shit at the wall and see what sticks.
Honestly, yeah.
And then something sticks. And with TikTok, I mean, I've got my account live, but I just archived everything and I've got it sitting there more as like a lead magnet, lead gen situation. I just found it so addictive and just the residue it left on me was just difficult. I felt like I couldn't metabolize it.
I find incredibly overstimulating, and I don't. I actually found I was thinking I might find it addictive being on it, but I actually find I need to put it down much more quickly than Instagram, because it really overwhelms me, and I don't understand how so many people.
It's such a particular. It has its own social culture.
Yeah.
The heart of TikTok's culture is also comments, like the comment culture too. I also find there's like a lot more value oftentimes in the comments on there than there is in the content itself.
Yeah. And I think that's where I do probably get stuck spending the most time.
And the funniest people, don't you find, like the real comedians of the world are just.
I love it so much.
People that don't have these big followings and accounts, and they're always so sharp.
Just
so
dropping these bombs in the comments. It's so good.
That's one thing I did kind of love about it that hasn't really come across to Instagram but I definitely had to make a choice for myself. And like, I have to mentor people about this. Like, I get it. And I even think for my own business, like it could be incredibly successful, but I talk so much about our willingness.
Yes.
How willing are you to play the game?
But I also think authenticity, there's, you know, the only thing that is going to work is going to be you.
Especially with AI
authentic
now.
to you. Yeah. Like, you know, it's just always going to fall flat or come across as
contrived in some way.
A bit cringe, something if you're trying to be someone else or trying to emulate someone else.
The ways that you sort of inhabit the mannerisms of TikTok culture where all of a sudden you're moving your hands in a way that you didn't before.
Oh my gosh, I know.
And then you kind of watch it back, you're like, that isn't me.
That's not me. And that feels weird, and now I want to delete it.
And what am I doing? And this is all shit, and I'm shit, and this
is so embarrassing. Exactly.
And why am I trying so hard? And like,
no. And it's, you'd think again as a, you know, someone approaching 40 who's got kids and who's just, like I've said, it's made me brave and it's made me all this, then you're suddenly overthinking this like funny, silly clip you've done.
Yeah.
But again, I think too, but it is I do love engaging with readers, and I do love that element.
The book club stuff you've been doing is very sweet. Yeah, like going to other people's book clubs. I'm like, what a just
it's
treasure.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love that. So if there is if it does open the opportunity to engage with readers, and I have gotten so many gorgeous DMs from strangers who have read the book. And
what's the kind of main flavour of your DMs that are coming in?
Oh, just I think what you opened with, really how immersed people felt in it, and how they kind of, it was like a fever dream that they read in like a few days and they just, and that's so cool to me. That's really cool. And a lot of them too saying it felt like watching a movie, like they felt like they could see it all. So it's funny you say that too, because that's definitely been a main theme. And there were other things that I thought that would be the thing people are talking about that no one's talked about.
It's so interesting, isn't it? Like, but what about
this
thing?
Big
I spent
thing?
Heaps of time thinking about it.
Yeah, exactly. So no, it's just funny, but I
have a couple more questions for you. I wanted to talk about your identity now, because in some way, shape or form, we're always becoming a title or a role or a, you know what I mean? Like, as much as we might want to say we're not, we sort of hold that. So you were an aspiring writer or an author or a kind of author in the making. Now you are an author. And so in what ways are you having to kind of close the gap between who you sort of identified as and who you are now? You know, when that title gets slapped down, you're like, oh, well, I'm a published author now.
Author. It's still very weird to say, but I think because I wasn't a writer or aspiring writer until I was in this kind of closed room scenario of being a mum with kids at home. I wasn't out in the workforce doing something else publicly at this time, that it didn't feel, and it also came at a time after a few huge big changes, getting diagnosed with endometriosis, moving to New York with my now husband, having kids, COVID. It all kind of happened within this little period.
That 5 years was just savage, wasn't it, for so many people?
Yeah. So I changed my surname from my birth name to my married name. So it kind of felt like
we are anew.
I'm anew. Yeah, it was just like, this is who I am now, or this is what I'm calling myself now. And you kind of just have to be unapologetic about it. Otherwise,
I think so.
No
one's going to claim it for us.
Exactly. Yeah. And I also have seen so many other people pivot or step out into the world, as this person that, I don't know, it's funny actually, Holly Ryan, I remember when she was doing jewelry, just, amazing jewelry, and then she was doing sculpture, and it was like sculptor Holly Ryan, and I just thought, at that point I wasn't at all thinking about writing, but I was going, maybe I could be a sculptor. Like, she just decided to be a sculptor, and yes, it ties into her background, and she had the skill set to do it, but it just kind of made me think, like, you can just choose your own destiny.
The free will thing.
Wow, yeah. And it is kind of profound, and seeing these people like you just one day did this. And yes, it doesn't happen like that, like it appears to everyone else. It takes a lot of work behind the scenes, but no one's going to do it.
Yeah.
But you.
I think you're so right. Like, there is a claiming of how I'm expressing in this season.
Yeah.
And trying to be as unashamed of that as possible. I think we hold a lot of shame, especially because there is this sort of requirement that we do it publicly, we build in public,
Yeah.
And so, again, the kind of developing a greater tolerance for being misperceived or being judged or being spoken about in some way of like, oh, what, she's a sculptor now? Like, But what helps me in those moments, because I am not exempt from being out in the world, especially in content marketing, just being like, cringe. Yeah. Like, there's moments where I'm like, this is required. Yeah. But just remembering that envy is that unrealized potential of their own that they're projecting on you. When I learn about that, I was like, amazing.
Absolutely.
I need somewhere I can go when I know that my post is being forwarded to someone and they're laughing at me or something like that, And I've not been exempt from some trolling comments or people seeing what they want to see about spirituality and just kind of chucking me in the box of like white girl spirituality. And like, you get into the offline world and it's very different. There's not
a lot
that
more to it. Yeah.
It's not that at all. But to be in the work in this way, we do have to, it is developing a tolerance to be misperceived and judged, but we don't want to let that stop us from doing the thing or claiming the
and
role.
Also seeing the people that are most successful, or at least the people that I was viewing as successful were the people who just claimed it and who were just like, this is me, this is what I do, and you just accept it. I think it's that confidence thing. It's like,
well, if that's who she says she is, then that must be who she is.
Then that must be who she is, exactly. And you're just believing in that confidence, and no one's going to believe in you if you're, I mean, they might, but second guessing yourself is just going to harm both you and your creative process, but also how much people are willing to invest in you. And so I think. Yeah.
It's worth remembering that, I think, for anyone listening, that people really are looking for leadership in all types of forms, and that there is an attraction point that takes place when you know who you are and you claim it fully.
Yeah.
People really, and not everyone, but that's the point, is that you shouldn't be for everyone.
No.
But the people who you are for, that's what they need from you to say yes to your thing.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's like, and I talk about this a lot in mentoring, we're all, for the most part, doing this from a place of high integrity and with pure intentions. Yeah. And we don't want to be seen, especially in Australia, the whole tall poppy thing. We don't want to be
a fraud or
too much or, get too big or whatever. I forgot what I was going to say about. No, it's gone.
I was going to jump to fill it in, but yeah, I was interested in where you were going.
What were we talking about?
But yeah, no, I like the claiming.
The claiming, yeah. I don't know.
I think, but it's true. It is, I guess it's like the attraction.
Yeah.
It's got to, no one is going to back you if you don't back yourself. That's what I was going to say
was we all have these qualities of us. And they're all perfect, but they're not always required. And so you know how we can over-index on humility? Yeah. And I think there's like self-preservation and protection that we bring that forward as like, okay, don't want to seem too up myself or whatever. But your customer or your buyer or your reader doesn't actually necessarily need your humility. They need your
they need
assurance.
Your confidence and assurance.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Because they're going to spend their hard-earned.
Yeah.
About something that you're like, I don't know.
Funny.
Like, it's not a big deal.
That's come up for me with people like who have received the book or bought the book, and my urge to say, I hope you like it, or versus like, I don't know, just kind of accepting that what will be, or being like, you're going to love this. It's just kind of, it's a funny, there's this, I have this like,
I can't wait for you to experience the book.
I can't wait for you to read it versus I hope it's okay. Like, I hope you like this, like, which is, a very natural reaction. But I've kind of had to stop myself a few times from kind of being too grateful and trusting that they bought it for a reason or they were sent it for a reason and that they're going to love this about it or if they don't, then that's fine too.
Take up space in my own fucking work.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, exactly.
Final question. I was going to say what's next, but we're on book 2.
We're on book 2.
And then I'm sure there's another story with other characters. I asked this question about true self-success. So this idea of, which I feel like in some ways you've not chosen to do but sort of had to do health-wise, of charting your own kind of course for what success is going to look like. But when you're sitting in that sort of, I also talk about it as a little rich life, just your own version of happiness and success. Do you feel like you're living that out right now?
Yeah.
And what is that? Yeah.
I really do. And it's something my husband and I say to each other almost every day. We're just like, oh my gosh, like this is.
Be so for real.
This is this is really amazing. Like, I kind of can't. And again, this is not to say that there aren't a ton of kind of just stresses or things that are happening, but I just feel so lucky. And, it's the Sundays we get to, we wake up and we go to the playground.
You guys are so active, I have to say, with those boys.
2 little boys, yeah. It's a lot. We're always out of the house, but then going to the pub and then getting home and making bolognese and putting the kids to bed and watching an hour of TV before we get into bed and read and go to sleep at 9:30.
Perfect.
I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Yeah. So I definitely feel like I'm in that moment, and it's funny because a lot of this book is actually about learning how to be in the present and in your body, and not just your body, but also the natural environment that your body's a part of. And I think writing it was was me reminding myself that I was in that moment, even before I wrote the book, just having my partner and my kids and having that part of my life feel so rich. That it is very easy to kind of drift over the top of it and not be in it. And to be thinking about the future or thinking about what you still need and what you still have to do, or maybe work stuff isn't, where you want it to be, or maybe you're renting and it's really stressful, but to kind of be in those moments is the whole point.
Yes, this is it.
This is it. It is happening right now. And it's brought me to tears. So many people, come up to you when you have a young kid. I'm sure this has happened to you, and people whose kids have left home and they say, you are in such an amazing moment. And, and even gone so far to say you are in the best moment, like having small
and you're like,
kids
really?
at home. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, God, I need to.
I haven't eaten today.
Yeah, I know, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
But you're like, okay, I'm not going to. As you grow older, you learn to listen to people older than you and realize that all of those things people say
and they've got that
are
perspective
often
that
true,
we don't have.
What we don't have. And, it's like the things you'd want to say to a teenager, which is enjoy this time, or enjoy your gorgeous, amazing, strong, healthy body, enjoy it all, because all the stuff you're worrying about doesn't matter. And one day you will look back at yourself, or even I say this to myself now, I'm like, I feel the pressure of, everyone around me is getting their faces done and I'm getting all these wrinkles and whatever. But then I'm like, 47-year-old me is going to be looking at 37-year-old me and going,
you didn't have a line on your face.
You are stunning. You are amazing.
Yeah.
Like, stop sweating it.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a long way of saying that the time is now, and there are always hard things, but the rich things and the beautiful things are there too. You've just kind of got to see them. But I am, I say that, and I have been at times which were not like this, but trusting that they'll come and
recognizing it when you're in it. I think that's the thing, is we can so often miss it in anticipation of what's coming, or in deep thought about what's been.
Yes.
And I do think in some ways we have become pretty self-obsessive in that way, and self-centered in many ways, that we're always finding ourselves in some kind of process of healing. And it's like, well, maybe if we just held space for like, we don't need to be healed.
Yeah.
And that this is just the enduring life experience.
Life experience, yeah.
And right now this is perfect.
Yeah.
And whatever's happening is meant to be happening, and we know that because it's happening. And
I think that's where spirituality, religion, spirituality, whatever you want to call it, I don't understand how you can get through life without kind of it would just be very hard, like without kind of having this sense of a bigger process and a bigger thing happening, because, or even in terms of lives or whatever, I don't want to get too far into it, but, knowing that you're here in this moment for a reason and to learn certain things, and those things are very important to this much, 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 much bigger picture.
Yes.
And to trust that you're a part of that, and that, it's all connected and everything is happening, and, it's all amazing and pretty magical.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I think that's where I'm at right now.
So nice.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on my podcast.
Thank you so
I
much
couldn't
for
wait to
having
ask
me.
you. I was like, yay.
I know, it's nice to have an enforced catch up. Yeah.
But I appreciate it, and really proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
Honestly, just like remarkable what you've done, and reading you is such a pleasure. So I look forward to many more books from you.
So fingers crossed. Thank you.
Thank you.